It is 7:02-ish.
Here it comes
It
right
is
there.
the February 24th meeting for the Jamaica Selectboard. The first order of business, as usual, is to ask if there are any additions to the agenda that have cropped up since I made the agenda. Have we had anything?
Just an update on the town hall.
Did you do that last time?
It's a bigger update.
More updates?
More
You are just full of updates. Okay. Put that in
It's
there.
my big hurrah.
Yes. Okay. I have a couple that have come up since I wrote this. We had a resignation for the PC. We're gonna talk about, introduce that tonight. I wanna talk to the select board about the hazmat plan. Just talked to Alyssa today about that. Chris is gonna be up to talk about the broadband, we'll let him, and then we'll get the town hall report.
Sounds
So
great.
we'll add those into the discussion after we get through the break. Okay, first order of business as usual, or second, I guess, is to approve the minutes of the February 10th Select Board meeting, which was coincidentally held on the 10th of February. Anybody have, these are all distributed electronically, we've got paper copies if you like. Questions, deletions, comments?
Make a motion to pass.
Oh, okay.
Second.
To the minutes.
Got a second? Some discussion? You have discussion? Yeah, or you're seconding?
Second.
Okay, that's the second. No complaints, no misses, no nothing. These are perfect minutes.
Because we
Put that
have
in the minutes.
perfect.
I can write that down.
Yeah, write that perfect
We have
minutes
the
down there.
perfect person.
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? No, passed. Thank you, ma'am. Second is, that's the second. Third one is approve the time sheets for the town office, solicitors, highway, et cetera. And assign the select boards. We will do that at the end of the session, as is our procedures. We have 2 liquor license applications that have come in. One is for Honey Pie Restaurant, and so is the other one, because one of them has to do with outside, and one of them is inside. And they needed to do 2, and so we have 2 applications, and checks and paperwork. Has anybody entertained, have we had any issues with them at all? I've heard nothing has come to me, any complaints at all, everybody's happy to have them there.
Just beer and wine, right?
I believe so, yeah, beer and wine.
What's the outside?
Well, it's got something to do with what they can take. What's the rules? You know the rules better than I.
They have an outside seating area, so basically, I mean,
That'll
it's a
take it
perimeter
outside.
area, so you have to have that license.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can drink in or out. Okay, so, fees and play, we've got this. Any motions?
I'll make a motion to accept the liquor license application.
Second. Do I have a second? Second. Further discussion? None? I will circulate them along with the other stuff at the end of the day, because we all have to sign each one.
I'm gonna vote.
Just parenthetically, sidebar. Next month at this time, this will no longer be a problem. You'll have to remember this all by yourself. It's only been how many years and I still forgot it. Yes, we'd like to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, but it passes, yeah. So I'll circulate these things with the other stuff tonight. We also have excess weight permit. This is from RK Miles. And he's got a list of the equipment that he likes to drive around on our roads. And it's got all the right plates and bodies and weight and stuff he needs. And there's a check. So I would entertain a motion if someone would like to suggest we send this to the road commissioner.
I'll make a motion to send it to road commissioner.
Do I have a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We'll send this to Alexa. Thank you. Okay. We have 2 planning commission vacancies. One of which we talked about last week, I believe, last session, that Rebecca is going to not run for her seat in March. And then I found out later on, and I just recently got a letter from Jason Katz, who is also going to withdraw. In fact, he's actually What it says is I've been honored to serve on the Jamaica Planning Commission this past year. Most of my time is spent outside of Jamaica, and as a result, I'm not able to attend meetings or be an involved member of the Planning Commission. Therefore, I feel it is appropriate for me to resign my position on the Planning Commission. And thank you for the opportunity to have served the town in this way. This is dated February 20th. So, thank him for his service, but he got obviously an awful lot on his plate. And I think he's being reasonable. If he can't do the job, he went it to somebody else. I don't think there's any voting involved. We accept his resignation and thank him. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, sometimes,
Rebecca.
and Rebecca, so she sent the letter before, I think.
Right.
Yes.
But the thing about it is, and this is the truth about anybody who volunteers for any of the things that need to be done here in town, whether it's us or the fire department or Old Home Days. We all try the best we can. If it turns out that you can't pull it off for whatever reason, family reasons, job reasons, we get it. We all get it. But the fact that you're at least taking a shot at it really helps, at least to get in and find out and giving it a try. So, yay, people who try. I vote yes on that. Okay. Now, we have an interim, let me back up. The Casella contract, I should probably let you talk about that since you're talking more and deal with it than I.
Sure.
Talk about that.
I'm happy to do that. As maybe a few people know, but a month ago or so, we got a letter from Casella that they were honoring one of the clauses in our contract and giving us our 30-day notice that they were terminating our contract for hauling our waste and recyclables. They came right out and said, we're not gonna not serve you. It's just that we need to basically raise our rates. We're unable to cover our costs, or not even coming close to covering their costs, so they say, based on what our previous contract was. And the biggest reason for that was with the increasing cost of getting rid of the recyclables. That three years ago or so, when we initiated this contract, they were probably making money on those, and now it costs more to haul and get rid of the recyclables than it does for the regular waste. So we are now in a position, they have extended our initial contract. It was set to terminate the end of January. They've extended that, so our previous contract will terminate the end of February. It was actually set to expire the end of June, so we've now have this little shoulder time where we are the board. We met with them last week, and I guess one of the ideas that came up was that we enter a kind of this, I don't know what you want to call it, a transition contract, a bridge contract, something that will continue our service, but then that we would discuss and put it out to bid. We would have been putting it out to bid in the next month or two anyways, because it was set to expire the end of June. So this is just forcing us a little bit. They threw out some initial costs. Terry did some quick calculations, and I guess Sarah too had pulled together what the projection of what this might mean. And I've just looked at this initially tonight for the first time, but it's looking like we're projecting that the increased cost would be around $2,500 for the next 4 months. That gets us to the beginning of June, so that's kind of where we're at, I guess. I mean, everybody knows the cost of hauling waste has gone through the roof, and I guess certainly open for discussion on lots of ideas here, but like I said, one of the ideas is that we draft a contract with Casella to get us through for the next 2, 3, 4 months, however long that is, however long we think that we might take to put it out to bid.
Are there other options?
There is Triple T, I think, is one of the other reliable, I guess, or viable options. There's not many, obviously. I don't know that there are any others, but that's...
Triple T serviced us for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question. You're saying that Casella took over 3 years ago. Is it possible that they took over the contract of TAM?
Oh, right,
And
yeah,
not
let's
3
backtrack a
years
little
ago?
bit. So we initially had a contract with TAM, that's right,
Correct.
thanks for clarifying.
And when?
TAM, we had a contract with TAM, and then TAM was bought out by Casella,
Right.
probably last summer, mid-year
what I
last summer. I
think.
mean, it's been 6 or 8 months probably. So Casella, TAM's been operating underneath Casella's umbrella, I guess, so.
Yeah, and one of the things he said at the meeting, Casella, was that when they did take it over this summer, their intentions, although not telling us, was to increase the cost.
Yeah, like everybody's costs are going way up, so.
Yeah, so that it was kind of a surprise when we got it, correct?
I guess not necessarily a surprise, I
Did
mean,
they tell you last summer that they were going to increase the prices?
oh, no.
That's what I'm talking
No,
about.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it is in it was in the contract that they could give 30-day notice, either party could give 30 days.
But we didn't know TAM had been absorbed by.
We did.
Last summer?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So you still see TAM trucks driving around and things like that, I mean, they're
Yeah.
just a
That's not like
subsidiary or whatever you wanna call it of Casella now.
Yeah, she sent these things out, like you said, the extra from March 1 to June 1 is $2,500. That's the cost difference over what we're already ready to pay. It's a tough call, but that's not, I mean, it's all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's going up everywhere, and the cost, like you said, the recyclables are now costing more, to the tune of almost twice as much to haul.
They do get, the recycles get hauled further,
Yeah.
and so that's a huge piece of the cost.
Does the transfer station more than cover itself the way it's set up right now? Does it
No.
carry itself, or does it lose money? Or
With
break
just the
even?
pay the throw?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think it's probably, I don't know off the top of my head, but I would think that it's fairly close to break even in the
Okay.
compactor, but everything else is no charge and is obviously a charge to the town for free recycling. And the other, the construction waste is the other big component of that.
Yeah, he gave us the numbers of what the increase would be,
Right.
and I can read some of those if anybody wants to hear it.
It's painful to hear.
Yes, I don't have those. I don't have a copy, and I'd like to hear them.
Oh, you don't have a copy here, is that so right?
Yeah.
I might have grabbed the wrong set.
So you can see that there's been quite an increase, for example, in the single haul of paper recyclables from $292 up to $400. And again, the single haul of the commingled recycled at the same price, $292 up to $400. So there are some large jumps here.
Right, and that's just the trucking cost, and there's jumps in the tonnage too.
Right.
I mean, we try to, there's definitely a better value when we haul the tandem trailer.
Right.
It's less of an incentive, than it was before. It was a bigger incentive to haul, there's still an incentive to haul double trucks.
How, do they usually come tandem or do they usually come
No,
single?
Dan makes a real strong effort to make sure that there's tandems. Every once in a while, he'll, predict that the cardboard, as an example, is gonna fill up over the weekend and it's only 3/4 full and he wants it out to make sure that we don't fill it up. But I would say, I'm not seeing these numbers here, but just off the top of my head, it's probably 90% of the time it's a double load. Or maybe even more.
That's good, that it is that way.
So the task at hand for us tonight is to decide whether we are going to go ahead and accept this bid. The only bid.
Yeah, right.
From March 1st to June 1st. It's not like there's a lot of choices.
Right,
All the other agencies are gonna send it out to, we're gonna go for bids, send it out for.
And I would suggest and think that we could sign a contract that allows us the 30 days to get out, and we can immediately put this out to bid. And as soon as we have,
That'd be a good idea.
hopefully, a better offer, we can, back out of this one. So it's not necessarily saying that we're gonna send it to the end of June, but.
Right,
Well, this covers us until we can get something moving, so that's a good idea if we can get that started.
yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, there's no choice. It's something, one of the bigger things that the town does.
Yeah.
And it's roads and garbage. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
And then, I know it's not to do with recyclables, but in July, is there like zero trash going in, it's all compost, does that happen this year?
The compost starts this year, but that's still not good. That might cut down a little bit on the composter, but nobody knows about how much.
Yeah, and we still have to pay to haul the compost away.
Exactly.
Yeah, there is, I say in theory, there's mandatory organic recycling starting this July, but there's no policing behind it, so
There
to
hasn't
speak.
been any of it, but
Yeah.
we just act like there is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true, there's no policing.
Self-policing.
So,
Well,
there's
that's
a
what
question, but I guess it's
should be.
Paul's floor, so.
It's hard to tell, isn't it, sometimes?
Just a logistical suggestion, I'm happy to look at the entire contract, but it would be vastly easier just to do a 1 or 1.5 page amendment that has the variations from the existing contract, rather than rewrite the whole contract.
For sure, yeah, it can really just be
It's,
this
right.
new cost structure.
Right,
It's
and
the
it's
same
just,
contract.
it's just amending
Right.
the existing contract.
That's
And
a
if you
good,
want,
makes it a lot easier.
I'm happy to look at anything,
Yeah, but that's
if it
great.
helps, yeah.
And there is built into the old contract, a 30-day ballot position already, it's in there.
Exactly, that's
So,
what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
Don't
we're all
vary
gonna be in
it.
it.
My advice is don't vary it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
good thing.
So,
Alrighty,
is that what you wanna do?
Need a motion?
I think so.
Make a motion to accept the contract as written by Casella?
Yeah,
Or
or
amend
make
contract,
a
or make an
motion
amendment
to
to
that we, I guess I would say either that the board,
Do you wanna prepare a contract and we can sign it?
that we
next week?
prepare, right,
Next
exactly,
session.
that the board authorize myself to work with Casella to draft a contract with
Right.
this fee structure.
Sure, who was the gentleman that was here for that meeting?
Randall,
No,
speaks
yeah.
of fact, Randall,
Anyway, but he's the one that.
he's the general manager for Casella,
Out of Bennington, right?
Rutland, he's at,
Oh, right.
yeah.
So maybe the well, let's
Try
make the
again.
motion.
I'll second his motion.
Whatever he said.
Whatever he said.
But can he make a motion to authorize himself?
I doubt it. So let's make a
Right.
Make a
motion.
motion to authorize
Okay.
He could, I want
to work with Casella
Yeah.
to negotiate the pricing.
Yeah, well, so there's no really negotiated pricing, but draft a new
Draft a new
contract, and bring that
contract,
to the meeting.
In an interim contract accepting these.
Mhm.
Do I have a second?
second.
I have a second. Do you have any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. So we will go ahead and, you will draft that together, then we can take a look at it for our next session and get it in here. Time out. Our next session is our next session is the 9th of March, isn't it?
The end of,
This goes,
This is in theory only through the end of this week.
what's that?
This in theory.
starts,
Starts,
So basically, we do have a contract. They're honoring our contract. Basically, what's happening at the end of this week is that they're moving to this fee structure.
okay, all right.
So we will formalize the contract is what
That
I
makes good sense.
think is maybe a better way to, I mean, they're not gonna just not haul.
It's their fees, they're gonna, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds like a plan. Does that change much of the motion? I think it looks okay.
No, it's not.
Okay. Next item. I think I told you that, gas registration, here's the next item. I talked to Alyssa Sabeto from the Windham Regional Commission today. We've been working on the hazard mitigation plan. You all should have in your email boxes a current, draft. And so we've got until March 16th, we, the board, to review the draft of the current hazard mitigation plan, as she wrapped it up today. And then we get a chance to review that, offer some suggestions, and then there's another 2-week period, I believe, for the citizens after we polish the first draft to get feedback on it. So that it'll be our 2 weeks to the 16th and then another 2 weeks to amend any changes we want to fix. So that should be done then in 2 weeks after the 16th, whatever, close to the end of the month. But be aware that it's, I know I got mine today, it should be in your email, she sent emails out, it's about, I don't know, 7 or 8 pages, it's pretty extensive. She did an incredible job. We have to review Wardsboro's as well, I'm supposed to review the ones for Jason. So I did the one for Wardsboro, incredible work she does. And so we just have to review ours, you all don't have to read Wardsboro's.
No, it's pretty lengthy.
Wardsboro one? Yeah, it was 70 some odd pages.
I didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah, it's tough. But I'll tell you what makes it possible is I'm sitting there and looking at the stuff that she's done and I realize how hard she's worked to put this together because she's done it for everybody in the region. I don't know how many talents she's got. Anyway, so anyway, let's do the 16th. So you guys just be heads up on that one. Chris Robbins, who went to the Broadband, what's the official title of that meeting? Startup project or
The
whatever.
Windham Region Broadband Project.
Awesome. Would you like to brief us on the results of your
Yes.
trip?
So February 16th, they held a training meeting, the second series of 2 meetings on the project.
Excuse me, before you get started, can you introduce yourself to the camera guy, please?
Chris Robbins, I'm the town's representative to the Windham Region Broadband Project.
Thank
So there were 2 main topics in this meeting, after some preliminaries and a quick review of the project. And they were getting the word out to everybody as the first topic, and the second was a review of the draft survey. And under getting the word out, I should say, there's strong emphasis on responding online to the survey, but they do have a paper option, and paper is welcome if that's what people want to do, and especially if they don't have access to the internet. But if anybody wants to do paper, that's okay too. They published some resources we can use. There are flyers, 2 flyers. One has tabs on the bottom with the URL for responding to the survey page. And I sent copies out to everybody,
I think we got them on board.
but there they are if you want to refresh your memory. They sent out a sheet of 10 cards to be cut out and handed out to people, either here at the town office or at other places. They covered dissemination of the survey, which includes on the town website, and I hope it can be posted soon.
One of those are on the bulletin board with little tabs on it, right?
And on the Facebook, town Facebook page, which it already is on there. And then flyers are being posted in the town hall, the dump, in the post office, B&K's bulletin board has one, and the library should have one, which I haven't given them yet, but I'll take care of that tomorrow, first thing. Another means of dissemination should be the town meeting. I'd like to set up a table with a flyer and the cards to hand out and some copies of the paper survey for people that might want it.
Just a little bit of warning. We were talking about that with Sarah.
We have presidential primaries.
What's that?
We have presidential primaries at town meeting.
It's going to be very crowded that day for a table. I'm not sure if there's a way to work something out, but we're going to have.
I think too, it can always be set up on the stage. I know there's always been some.
There may be some way to maneuver, but just so you're, get a heads up
Put it
that
right.
the presidential primary is the same day, that's gonna be running all through the meetings.
Well, what the cards are resting on isn't that big an issue.
Just give you a heads up on that. I know we talked about it, I didn't remember that until she reminded me.
Even the entrance way.
We'll figure it
out.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
The
Huh? No,
We'll help
we're a
you.
team, we're a team here.
WRC website has downloadable material on the project. And lastly, sending out a mailing to registered voters, not the non-resident property owners, as I said last time. They made some changes and clarifications that are pretty significant. The first is this: don't bother sending cards to non-registered voters. They claim they have another means of determining what the take rate ought to be amongst vacation homeowners. So if you want to send it to them, that's fine, but they didn't encourage it at all. And it simplifies things considerably in our case. The second clarification was they lowered the take rate that they're looking for to 20%. They start out saying 30, now they're down to 20. And finally, on the poll question, they're going to use both telephone and power poles. Anything they can. If your property, happens to be a long ways from the street, the owner might have to pay for a pole, but anything that's along the street, they'll put up if needed, and that'll be just part of the implementation costs. There was a little bit of inconsistency. There are two different URLs that were published on the two different flyers. The one that ends in Broadband takes you to WRC's Broadband page, and there's a button on there that links you to the survey, online survey, and another one to download the paper copy. So both will work. The second topic was reviewing the survey. Mostly this is a bunch of wordsmithing. To what they're trying to do is get at technical information through non-technical questions, but the gist of the questions are: where do you live? What kind of service do you have? What kind of service do you want? How much do you think about the cost, and will you sign up? And these are worded in, terms like what services do you have, TV, internet, work at home, etc., which tells them what kind of bandwidth requirements you probably want. One meaningful suggestion was submitted by me, which was put a confidentiality statement in it. I'd like to take credit for that, but unfortunately it's my wife's idea. But so it does have a strong confidentiality statement now in the survey. And these, as I say, are available either for electronically or downloadable form. So our action items are post, I need to upload my website.
Okay.
If you could do that.
Yeah, I can do that.
The Facebook posting's already done. I'd like the board to authorize a mailing to the registered voters on one of those cards, like the warning card. And I brought the thing in the square is a single object, so you can just cut and paste that on the back of the card, and that'll do.
Do you have any sense of how many cards need to go out?
How many? I don't
We
know.
have 750 registered voters, but probably 400 are actually,
Residents.
well, so
Households.
both, like,
That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is looking for a household's
Yeah.
response, so not everybody in the house, but one person per house.
Right.
So that's $200 roughly. Well, if there's 400 divided by 2 is
That's a pretty good
Okay.
estimate.
50 cents a
Yeah.
piece. Oh, I don't know what cards cost.
So, post the flyers, Joel's put one up in the post office, the town office is up, D&K's is up, Greg is.
The transfer station has one up. Dan is familiar with it too, so he can hand out cards.
Does he have one up? Because I didn't get.
He does have it. I mean, I gave him one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was on Sunday, maybe Saturday.
Cut up some of those handout cards on the sheet and print some of the paper surveys, and I would suggest just doing a few to have them handy. There's no need to do matches of them just yet. I'll take care of the town meeting. And The final one is, I'm gonna monitor the progress and see how well we're doing. It's supposed to be feedback available to the town reps, so I'll be able to keep you posted as how the survey's going.
Good.
That's about it.
Thank you. So
Thank
do we need,
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to add on and thank Chris, and just add to that I know we're pretty familiar with what's going on, but to step back maybe just a half a step, that this is pretty important. Windham Regional received a grant to do this, do a feasibility study of bringing broadband throughout the Windham region, Windham County area. So whatever your thoughts are, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but go on there and fill this out. It only takes maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the most. And whether you're happy with your internet, not happy, don't have it, do have it, it's all very important. So the responses are very valuable.
And we, go ahead.
That should be appealed to whoever watches the video of this meeting.
Right, exactly.
And I don't know if this is appropriate, but at some point, Jamaica is gonna lose its SV cable. It's gonna be sold.
Comcast.
And I assume Comcast, that's gonna happen. I didn't go to the meeting. So keep that in mind. I know some people in surrounding areas pay a lot more than I do for less service. So it's gonna be more expensive. I don't know what this will end up being, but it'd be more incentive to,
Yeah, there's
Take
no
the
cost behind
survey.
it, I mean, no pricing behind it yet, that's part of the feasibility study to see
yeah, find out
where it
what's the
needs to
cost.
be.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk at this meeting about price
Yeah.
and about, somebody did mention SD cable, but mostly it was about getting a cheaper option than the satellite. And $100 seemed to be the bogey that they were trying to beat.
Apparently at the hearing, a lot of people who had experience with Comcast said that they offer a very good 2-year program, but generally they double it after that.
And just raise your bill whenever they want, like every few months my bill goes up.
Right.
Okay.
And there were people there who claimed that they didn't get very good service from
Right.
Comcast, but that's anecdotal, and I don't know what the truth is. A lot of people, Comcast claims to be very competitive, but they have 90% of the market, so.
Okay, do we need a motion to authorize expenditure?
I will make a motion to authorize the expenditure of approximately $250 to send a postcard to the households of the registered voters.
One second.
Any further discussion?
Is there any way to give us a possible number of what it might cost? Is because we pay for ours.
You know,
I think that's the next step.
That's what they're trying to find out.
Yeah, because that's gonna be, if we're gonna be in paying more than what we're already paying. Because I'm the only one who lives, well, actually, Kimberly does too, out in the country. So,
Again, that's the first
we
step
get,
to
we
find out.
get direct TV,
when
we
they,
pay for that.
yeah, when they get the business plan done, which will be before August, we should have that number.
Some number, because that's gonna make a,
Yeah, we're not signing up for anything, we're just getting
Yeah.
information.
but that is a very important number for us.
And there's no outlay from the town
Right.
to implement this. If the business plan looks favorable, there's no outlay of the town to build this out. I mean, our cost right now, and our cost forever will be $250.
Yeah.
So there's not like this is gonna come down to say, we need to do something down the road.
Any further discussion? All in favor here, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? None, so moved. So go ahead and get those things out for the cards. Pound.
Boy, I got plenty of time this week.
I'm sure you do, you only have like the world's worst election going on.
I'll send you that tomorrow morning.
But
You
you
can
got,
actually
you
send
have the
it
list,
directly to
not the
Express
list
Factory,
of
Rob.
all the
I
players.
can generate it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna
if you generate that, and Chris sends it, I mean, Express Copy will do all the work, right?
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, send the creative to Sarah, and then you can send the list and list to Express Copy. I can help.
Right.
All right, thank you very much. Next item on the list is, there is an update on the town hall.
Oh, yes. My last swan song. And that is, we have hot water in the bathroom. It's been
Nice.
connected. So the only thing that is left, and I think in the springtime, for whoever takes over doing the town hall, are a couple of windows that need to be fixed. So I'm glad about that.
Yeah.
It got put in last week, Stuart.
Kind of stirred today, it's on demand, so it's not like it's cooking water all the
Yeah.
time. It's on demand.
Yeah, which is really good.
Excellent, very good, and thank you for all
Thank
the
you.
time and energy you put into that. So next time I go, I will wash my hands in your memory.
Remember.
That's nice.
Next item is public, time for public concerns. We have some public scattered around. Any concerned ones? You see heads shaking? Excellent. All our concerned citizens are happily concerned. Anything for the board? Anything else? Yes.
Just, like, you know, a little repetitive, but we really could use a town health officer. The next chair, if Paul doesn't take it or doesn't get elected, is gonna inherit not only the chair, but they're gonna inherit that job, technically. The board absorbs that, but the chair heads it up. So we need a health officer and a deputy health officer. And they won't let you just select the deputy, then he would become, or she would become the health officer.
Fortunately,
Thank
it hasn't been really, really busy, so it's just one of those
No,
things you gotta have.
But need
You
it.
shouldn't have said that, but
Right.
Candidate meeting tomorrow?
What's that?
Candidate meeting tomorrow?
Oh, tell us about that.
I don't know, what, was it 7 o'clock tomorrow?
I think it is.
Where is it?
7 o'clock? And it's over at
At the
the
church.
There'll be
Yeah.
snacks,
I mean, what?
there'll be snacks.
Oh, food?
Oh, geez, everybody.
we got the
That's how they figure you get people there.
That's the only way to feed
That's
them.
why I did that.
Absolutely.
'Cause I'm hungry.
Anything else for the board?
I have a motion we adjourn.
I'll second.
I have second for the discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Right.
Any opposed? No, we stand adjourned at, it looks like 7:40.
Woo.
Wow.
Different